Yeah, it's 2022, and this is the first message of 2022. Hey! But yeah, so the title really, it's something that I've been kind of thinking about for a few weeks, even from the end of last year. But the title is See It, Write It, Read It, and then Run It. And it's inspired from a message I heard some time back from T.D. Jakes. And the subject really is about how do we approach and enter into this new year. How do we enter into it? It's the beginning of January today, and it's a new year, and there's a lot of good wishes and good, I wish, like I received a message from somebody, may the new year, bring you peace and prosperity and health and all of that, and there's a lot of that flying around. But I sent back a message and I said, the new year, it's not going to bring me this, it's just a number. God is going to, if I'm going to have peace and prosperity and health and all of these things, then me and God are going to have something to do about it. So, but how do we look at the new year? We all have hopes and dreams, and things we want to see happen in this year. But what are they based on? These hopes and dreams and things. What are they standing on? We have already talked about how precious time is, and how we are to treasure the time. Last year, a few weeks back, we spoke about Psalm 90 verse 12. So teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. And so going into 2022, we have 365 days that we can number. So how are we going to honor God by treasuring this time? How are we going to treasure this time that we have been given? So, because, it's a gift. But the verse I want us to look at is a famous verse, and it's used very often in this context. And it's Habakkuk 2 Verse 2. Now let me just read the whole 1 and 2, I think. Habakkuk 1 and 2, let me just come to it. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower. So Habakkuk is kind of, this is a place, he finds a place and a time, his watch, and it's on the tower, and I'll watch to see. So we can see something about Habakkuk, that he's a seer, perhaps, as a prophet. He sees other prophets, the word of the Lord comes, I'll watch and see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I'm reproved. So he found a place, he found a time, he found a position. He will sit and he will watch to see what God will give him. And then verse 2, and the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. So then the Lord gives him some instructions what to do, because very, very often people just keep in their heads. But the Lord is giving it, okay, so here's a vision, but write it down. You've got to write it down, make it plain, so that he who runs may read it. So this is the verse that I'm kind of basing my message today on. So the context here is where the Lord gives the prophet Habakkuk a vision and then instructs him what to do. And the very first point here we see, write it down. Write it down. But as this time of the year, I like listening to many different prophetic voices, kind of, what is God saying for, for this new year, and many prophets have different things, about what will happen this year and whatever, and there are many so-called prophets, but I only listen to a few that I trust, and I know that they're good. But the point I'm trying to make here is that a vision for the new year is important. A vision, seeing. I heard somebody say that your natural eyes give you sight to see, but your spiritual eyes, your heart eyes, gives you a vision. You see, natural eyes give you sight, but your heart eye gives you vision, and both are very, very important. But whichever way you look at it, it's the same problem. Without sight, you can't see where you're going, and without vision, you don't know where you're going. You see? And so without the vision, how do you know you are there? How do you know you are there? How do you know you are even near, or you are almost there? You don't know without a vision. Without a vision, we don't know where we are going, what it looks like, how we're gonna get there, and how to know we're there. So point number one for today is the vision. What's the vision for the new year? I titled the talk "See It." The first was "See It." What do you see? The vision. And in the prophet's case, he found a place, he found a time, he found a position where he got alone to see, to receive, to watch what the Lord will show him. So we need to see it. And very often in business, directors, it's about the same kind of time of the year, they revise all their business plans. It's like, what's the business plan for the year, and what they're gonna do this year, and how are they gonna get there? It's like a vision. They call it a projection. What is your projection for this year? And that is really, in spiritual terms, is a vision. What is the vision for this year? And in family life, people do the same in families. I remember Pastor Oleg once telling me that every Christmas time or New Year's Eve time, they get together with their family and they say, what is our vision for this year? Everybody contributes. Maybe somebody say, this year I would love to go, and visit this country, or go on this holiday, or this year I would love to, maybe the parents, maybe we need to buy something, around the house, or maybe, a new car, whatever. What is our family vision for this year? It's not just in business, it's not just personal, but it's in family as well. And then they would pray over that vision, and then they will just go into the new year with that in mind, trying to reach that vision. So vision is the first step. What is the vision for this year? But the second step is to write it down. Write it down. So this is step number 2. See it, write it. And we can see God giving instructions here. Write it down. It will do no good to keep it in the head. Keeping it in the head. If we keep it in the head, then it changes all the time. Our minds, our thinking, as we dwell on it, it just changes all the time. And you cannot hit a target really easily if that target is changing all the time, if it shifts and slides. You can aim at it, but if somebody keeps moving it, you will not hit it. And that's why it's important to write it down. We've got to write the vision down if we are serious about it, and if we have to make sure. One thing we must ensure is that it's plain. God said, make it plain. Write it down on tablets. On tablets, it was like make it permanent. don't write it down on sand. Don't write it down on something that it will perish, that will go. It was like, make it permanent. So that's why writing on tablets, because you can almost, you're scratching it, you are itching it. It's like we have this whole thing about where it's written in stone. It's written in stone, that means it's permanent, it's done. But make it plain. We have to make it plain. So that means make it easy to understand. Easy to understand. Use common words. Use short sentences. Use plain language, big letters, write in capitals. I don't know. Easy to understand. Make it plain so that when somebody he says, so he who runs may read it. Now, I read some commentaries about it, and there's a little bit of discussion whether it's like he who is in a hurry, can read it quickly, or he that runs to tell it to other people can just read it quickly as he goes and tells it to as many people. I don't know what the agreement there is, but for us, what's important is to make it plain, easy to understand. Because very often, especially if it's a vision for a team, for a family, or for a church, or for wherever, people need to understand it. They need to get it. Because people don't rally round people as much as they do around the vision. You see, what are you doing? Where are you going? Okay, that's where I want to get to as well. So it has to be plain. If I have a vision to build a house, and I call a builder and I tell them, so I call Slava, general builder, I want to build a house, and I say, okay, I want, build me a house. And the builder will say, okay, what house do you want? And I say, okay, well, I want a nice house, a beautiful house, a big house. I want loads of space, very comfortable, very inviting, and all of that. Slava will look at me and say, okay, but you haven't told me what kind of house you want. What kind of house do you want? There's no preciseness about it. So, then I say, okay, I want 4 rooms. I want it to be white. I want big windows. I want a tiled roof or whatever. Well, that's a little bit better. That's a little bit more specific, but that still doesn't tell the builder what house I want. It's not precise. It needs to. A builder needs to know how wide is it going to be, how tall is it going to be. The exact centimeters. How. There needs to be details for a builder to build that house. So when I tell them the vision, I say, look, I have my dream house in my head. I have a vision of it. I have to make it plain for them to see it so they can build it. You see? So otherwise I will not get what my vision is like. So we can look at Moses. Moses went up a mountain. He got a vision of a heavenly tabernacle. But then the guys down the mountain, they didn't see that vision, so he had to translate that vision into a plan for them. If they were going to build exactly what he saw in heaven. So we can see how the vision turns into a plan that is written down. So we have to write it down, and we have to make sure it is clear. There needs to be a plan. If the builder starts building me a house and I give him no plan, and I come to check on the progress sometime later, how am I going to say, well, wait a second, this is not what I have, I cannot hold people accountable. I cannot say, okay, so how far along are we? There is no plan. How far, how much is it left until it's finished? I don't know. Nobody knows. It's not written down. There's no plan. So without a plan, you cannot accurately know the progress. You don't know how much is left, and you've got nothing to compare it against. So Now, at this point, these super spiritual people will say, "Oh, Andre, I don't have a plan. I just follow the Spirit. I'm just, all over the place. Wherever, the Spirit doesn't. Nobody knows where it's coming from and where it's going. So I'm just, God just leads me, and I follow the Spirit, and just as it comes." And I remember this lady at a conference telling me exactly the same. We were in a small group, and it's like, "Oh, I never have a plan. No planning. I just follow the Spirit. Super spiritual." And I said, "Well, but God has a plan. He has a plan for you. He says, 'For I know the plans I have for you, to prosper you, to give you peace,' and all of that." Jeremiah 29:11. And if you read through the Bible, God always has a plan. You will go to Egypt, and you'll stay there so many years, and then you'll come out, and then you'll go there, and then you'll go into there, and then you'll be there 70 years, and after that, I'll bring you back, and it's just, and then he will be born there in this town at this time. It's just a plan. The whole Bible is a plan, but people just, they're just way too spiritual, and they have no plan at all. So I remember this person that goes on mission trips, and I was talking about how it's important to have a plan, and he came and said, "Oh, Andre, when we go on mission, we never have a plan. We just follow God. We follow the leading. We never plan. Seeing planning as something that is not spiritual." And I said, "Do you know how much more you would accomplish if you had the plan?" But I remember some people that went with them on mission, and I asked them, and they said nobody knew what was happening. We didn't know. We would get up and would just hang around, and then all of a sudden we would like, "Okay, so let's go someplace and pray." So we would go and pray, and then it's like, "Okay, what's next? I don't know." It was like nobody knew what was happening, when it was happening, why it was happening. It was just, they were just sitting around a lot, so they never went back again on a mission. But, for us, even in our family, when we have no plan, we wake up in the morning and there's no plan, nothing gets done. Nothing gets done. So we must write it down. This vision of what we want to achieve and how are we going to achieve it, and it needs to be clear and easy to follow. Like a simple example, for me, my vision for this year, let's say, is reading the Bible cover to cover. So that is the vision. Your vision might be to read 10 books, or it might be to pray 20 minutes a day, or whatever. Whatever your vision is, or start a new course, learning something. That's the vision, and then that vision needs to be written down into a step-by-step plan. How am I going to do that? I'm going to choose this reading plan, and I'm going to read this much a day, and I'm going to, because if I have the plan, then I can know where I am, how far I am, how much is left, how much I've achieved, and all of that. So now the third point is to read the plan. Read the plan or the vision, whatever we have written down. We need to do that on a regular basis. If you have done that vision and you have put it somewhere on a shelf and you don't look at it the entire year, it will not help, it will not be effective. We have to put it before our eyes in the morning, on the mirror, on the wall, or wherever. We have to read it. So see the vision, write it, and then read it. Read it every week. Make a point. I'm going to go back. I'm going to read it. What's my vision? Where am I going this year? So with my plan, if I read it every week and I go back to it and I say, wait a second, I'm supposed to be in Numbers, this week. I'm not even near. I need to catch up. I'm supposed to be there, or wait a second, I'm ahead. We've got to refer to the plan and read it very often if we are to be successful. If we have a vision from God and a plan of action, then we have to keep it before our eyes. It says, don't take your eyes off the prize, or Don't take your eyes off your vision of your plan. Pin it to the wall. It's easy to be sucked into the everyday thing and you just forget about the vision that you have set as the beginning of the year. Don't get sucked into the daily routine. Just keep that before your eyes. Keep the vision. We must read it and read it often. And last, we have to run it. We have to take action. We have to run with it. We need to take those steps within the plan. We've written it down. We have got to actually do it. Just writing it down doesn't help. And if we have the plan, so we're going to take action. Okay, so what am I going to do? Right, I want to take action. Well, if you have the plan, you will know exactly what your next step is. You'll say, okay, so I need to, this is where I start. Okay, so this is what I've done. This is the next step. That's how you take action. If there's no plan, you can't even take action properly. That's why it's important to write it down, make it plain, so that he who runs it, and very often it's you who are running, you can do it quickly, plainly. You just read it, okay, that's what's next, that's what's next. This is next chapter, this is next step, this is the next module that I need to learn. This is you've got to do that. So, as I said, we have 365 days this year. 365 days. They are a gift from God. What is our response to it? What is my response to God for my 365 days here in Poole, UK, healthy, with the resources that I have? What is my response to it? How am I going to honor God? How am I going to treasure this time? We can talk until we are blue in the face about what God is going to do this year, you know, and listen to as many prophetic voices as we like, you know. Oh, so-and-so says, you know, it's going to be about this, you know, about revival. Okay, great. But wherever God is going to do this year, he's going to do it through people. So is he going to do it through me? Is revival then my vision as well? Because if it is, then how is it going to happen? Oh, well, God is going to do it. You know, the Holy Spirit, I don't know, you know, somehow it's going to follow me, you know. No, what are the steps? You know, write it down, make it plain. Revival, okay. So, are we going to talk more about God? Are we going to share more? Are we going to pray more? What is the plan? You know, write it down so that people, you know, who need to read it, they will understand it and follow it. So, he will do it through people. And is that going to be us? That's the question. Is that going to be us? Well, if it's going to be us, then we will have to, as I said, see it first, write it, read it, keep it before our eyes, and then run it, actually do it, action it. So that's it. Amen.